So what are the best ways for getting rid of a side stitch or side ache during a race? It can dramatically slow down your time if you're not able to take care of it during the race. In this video, we're going to talk about specific strategies that you can implement for getting rid of side aches as they arise. We're also going to talk about different things that you can do to avoid them before the gun even goes off. So let's do it. Welcome to Running Reimagined. For those of you that don't know, my name is Coach Dylan, and on this page we like to do a lot of tips and tricks videos on running. So if you're new here, consider liking the page and joining the community. Alright, so let's talk about the first tip, and the first tip has to do with avoiding the side stitch even before the run. And this is honestly probably the most common cause of side stitches for runners, and it has to do with eating and drinking too much. And I like to use the motto, too much, too close, and too large. So what does that mean? So that means too much would be too much volume before the race. Too close would be eating too close to the race in terms of time. And then too large would be taking down too large of gulps or too large bites of food that's harder to digest before the run. So one thing that you can really do to test this out is on your long runs leading up to it, especially if you're training for a half marathon or a marathon. As you get ready for the marathon and you start to do your long runs, you can keep track in a little diary or a journal the foods you're eating before the run, how close they are, and then the overall size of that meal, what you're eating and drinking before that long run, and then afterwards, how'd you feel? I like to use a chart, which is just basically a 1 to 5 chart. So you finish that run, how did you feel? Did you have any issues? Did you have issues? And then you'll rate it on your own subjective 1 to 5 chart, but you'll continually do that over time, and once by the time you get to the race, you'll have figured out the exact foods that you need to eat, the exact timing that you need to eat, and then the exact quantity that you need to eat. So that's the first tip. All right, so let's talk about the second tip. And the second tip is now you're at the race, but the gun hasn't gone off yet. And this is that warm-up period. And I think we see too many runners when we get to these races just standing around waiting for the gun to go off, and then they start and they use that first little bit as their warm-up period. I think it's really, really important, and this can help you avoid those side stitches if you warm up before the race. And this seems kind of like a no-brainer, but there's too many people that aren't doing it. And even if you just run for 5 to 10 minutes, it can help warm up your body. I might run for 15, 20 minutes before the race, and it not only does it help warm up my body, but I can start to kind of feel how I feel for that morning. And a lot of times I'll get those side stitches to arise during that 15, 20 minute period, which I think in my mind is a great thing, because then I can take care of it then. The clock hasn't started yet. So I can take care of it during my warm-up. By the time I get to the race, I'm ready to rock and roll. So maybe you do 5 minutes, 10 minutes of real light jogging, do some dynamic drills, some strides, and then you'll be ready to go. So my third and my fourth tip, now you're in the race. Say you thought you ate properly before the race, you warmed up properly before the race, and now you're in it, and you start to still feel that twinge of that pain, that side stitch that just is starting to creep up in there. What do? So my third tip, and this is probably, I'd say, the second most common cause of side stitches for runners, is that usually you get it at some point in the middle, mid to kind of third portion of that race. And the reason for that is you're starting to get tired, and so you're starting to change the way you breathe. And so what people will do is they breathe more up in their chest, and they're taking more shallow breaths. So they'll be breathing really high up here. And one thing they can do when they start to feel that twinge in here, they can kind of check that, but then also they can breathe in through their nose and focus on belly breathing. And what that means is that your belly should rise out before your chest goes up. So if you breathe through your nose, it'll kind of force you to do that. So you can even try that right now. If you breathe in through your nose, and then out through your mouth, this still rises, but you probably can't see it on the camera, but my belly came out. So if you really focus on having your belly come out, it'll allow that full, deep breath, allow your body to get more oxygen, and then also relax. And that's probably the biggest thing. We just need the body to relax. And the fourth tip kind of pairs with it, and you might see this as kind of like a voodoo thing, but honestly, this is something that really, really works for me and has worked for me me for several years now, and I love to visualize before the race, during the race. And so what it is that side stitch that's in there, I like to visualize that pain going away. So I'll be doing the breathing, in through the nose, out through the mouth, focus on the belly breathing. And then also I might even close my eyes for a half a second and really just visualize that pain releasing. And it might take you a minute or 2 minutes of constant, deep breathing, and then also really focusing on that. Obviously you can't have your eyes closed the whole time, but really just focusing on that pain, releasing. It'll eventually let go. I know that's the number one thing that has helped me as I've gone through, races, and I start to feel that pain come up. As you get more experienced, you'll get better and better at handling these things. But that's something that takes a little bit of practice. But over time, you can be able to handle that side stitch. It'll come up, deal with it in about 60 seconds, and then you're moving on and you're back in your rhythm again. Hey guys, I hope you saw value in the tips that were given in this video. If you did, please consider hitting that like button. Also, please consider hitting the share button so your friends can be able to benefit from this as well. It's really our goal to be able to help as many runners as possible, and we really feel that this is the best platform to be able to do that. So before we go, I wanted to give a quick shout out to Rose Marie and just say thank you for giving me this topic. I hope I was able to help you. Rose had messaged me directly on the Running Reimagined page. She unfortunately had an issue where she had dealt with a side stitch, and so I'm hoping that these tips will be able to help you, avoid them altogether, so you don't even have to deal with them during the run. So hopefully that was able to help you. Guys, keep your direct messages coming to me. If you have your own questions or comments, please send that to me directly, and if you do, we'll keep making these videos. So until next time, guys, keep running.